So last week I rode my first ever gravel race, and well, yeah, I got dropped pretty hard, but it was a great day out, so I'm going to tell you a little about the inaugural Wairarapa Gravel Race. It's about a 2-hour drive from Wellington, so it meant getting up pretty early in the morning to make the 9 AM start. Fortunately, I had a buddy coming with me for some company on the drive, so I went and picked him up, and then we headed north. Check-in was very easy. They should be able to find me on the course with this fucking get up. And they provided a whole bunch of little goodies I wasn't expecting. Glad I didn't bring the aero bike with the big number on the front, but yeah, it was easy enough to set up with the timing chip and the number, and rode around the muddy field a little bit, just trying to get warmed up and making sure everything was working on the bike. But it was so cold. It was about 5 Celsius and I was wearing just one layer of fleece-lined cycling gear. I really wish I brought a thermal layer, because pretty much the theme of this whole race is being cold, and even with some of the hill climbs I never really got properly hot. I do wonder how much that impacted my ability to really put out the watts today. Race briefing was well organised and clear. Honestly, really big shout out to Athletics and Cycling Masterton, who provide volunteers organisation for this event, because everything was really well signposted. It was very understandable what was going on, and honestly all the volunteers were just super friendly and chatty. It was a good vibe. And we were off. First thing I realised is I couldn't clip in properly because I collected so much mud in my cleat. But it was SBD, so I just banged it around enough until it finally clipped in, and then we were fine. And we were off, but damn, we started fast, and I was so cold at the start point. Like every part of me was just trying to get some warmth into my body as we pushed off from the start line. Neutralised start, I was feeling alright, a bit cold, and yeah, some people were going a bit harder, but I'm like, yeah, it's cool, part of sort of mid-pack. But I'll hold my position and not exert too hard. Probably doing about 30k an hour at this point. And then as we passed the quarry, we got to the small incline where the neutralised start card turned off. And this is where I started getting slightly worried, because rather than running out a puff from a kind of aggressive start, everyone seemed to just get faster at this point and were really putting in the watts. And again, I'm still freezing at this point, and I'm like, okay, well, I don't want to overdo it and cook myself too early, but I do need to go faster to try and keep up, because suddenly that peloton's starting to move away from me, which is starting to make me a little bit nervous. So at this point I'm like, okay, I better get down low, put some power in, and I'm also going to hang on to any wheel that comes in front, like this gentleman, just try and maximise how much energy I can save to keep up and try and regain ground with that front group as much as possible. But credit to the riders out here, they did not let up, and before too long we hit the gravel proper, and look, the Puntland's group just kept on pumping. Like at this point I'm working pretty hard to try and keep pace and hang on, and I'm sort of falling further and further behind despite wanting to actively try and keep my position. And again, shout out to the ACM volunteers. I mean, there's so many people like this guy just checking the junctions and giving you that peace of mind that someone else is. Double check you're not about to pull out in front of a moving tractor or something. At this point I'm in about 10 minutes in, doing about 30 to 35k an hour the whole time, and I was like, oh wow, I actually have to make sure I'm starting to consume fuel, right? So I had 2 bottles of Pure Nutrition race fuel mix, so it's 90 gram bottles, as well as some solid food. And I was like, okay, I know I'm struggling, but I need to start getting energy in now, otherwise I'll have a much bigger problem down the line. So at this point, I kind of lost sight of the main group. I was sort of hanging behind this couple for a while, but eventually they dropped me as well, as seems to be the theme. So at this point I'm a little unsure as to where I am in the ride, because obviously a big group's gone in front of me, but every so often someone will come up from behind and I'll be able to sit on them for a while before they eventually left me. Like these 2 guys on e-bikes, which was an absolute blessing for me until we hit the hill, and of course, like any good e-bike, they powered off ahead and left me struggling on the climb. But it was nice whilst it was lasted.
Goodbye, e-bike friends.
There was also a few kind of more hardcore people who somehow ended up behind me. I'm going to assume someone had a mechanical, because these guys were pretty onto it and they powered past me and left me in no time at all. Before the race I downloaded the GPX file for it. This is actually the first time I've really used my Garmin Edge with waypoint finding. And look, I've just got a basic Edge 130 Plus. It doesn't have, map data or anything, but the GPS waypointing was bang on. I mean, the signage for this event was pretty good. There was arrows everywhere that were easy to follow, but it was nice having that assurance of having the GPX file. Probably the only minor complaint is that the race organisers only distribute the map via Komoot, which requires a paid subscription to download the GPX. This is kind of an annoying thing for like a casual, where like you don't really want to be paying a subscription fee for a piece of software just to get your waypoints. It'd be nice if we sent out the actual GPX file just as a file attachment for anyone to use. G'day.
Good morning.
How's your race going?
Good, man. Yeah.
I had a few friendly chats with people as they went past. Tended to find that people were either in, I'm a racer, so I'll say hi, but I'm leaving you, or I'm too pro to chat to you at all. Some people just don't even acknowledge you, which is kind of a weird vibe. I don't get those people. And then you got people like this gentleman who's just super chatty and friendly, and you have a nice chat for 5 minutes before they drop you. But good vibe, Cheers, mate. Thank you. At this point, I started getting a little more despondent because I kind of left all of a group I could keep up with, and I was now kind of stuck out in purgatory for a good 30 odd K of, kind of dreary weather gravel riding on a bunch of back roads in the middle of nowhere, and not knowing whether I should try and speed up because I'm actually not far off the lead group, or whether I should slow down because there's a group behind me, and just sort of holding my own position in the end and trying to persevere through. G'day, thank you. It was around this sort of point too where I realised I wasn't really getting enough fuel in. Like, the cold weather meant I wasn't thirsty, so I was kind of forcing myself to drink my carb mix. And I was like, okay, well, I've only got 2 bottles of it, and it's going to take me 3 to 4 hours. So I really need to start getting some solid food in. And so I had this Snickers bar, and because of how cold it was actually quite solid trying to eat it. So definitely one to keep in mind if you're having solid stuff, as the temperature can really play into the effective consumption of the item. Whilst I was enjoying my frozen Snickers bar, I ran into this chap who was doing it on a full suspension mountain bike. So shout out to Charlie, you absolute mad lad, for riding this course on that kind of bike setup. He was definitely working harder than I am to shift all the extra weight and suspension around. Although I will say I was a little jealous of his descending, because he just barreled over any kind of bump in the road where I would get judded a little bit more with the gravel bike. So coming in for the end of my first lap, this is about 47k in, and I was pretty cold and pretty despondent at this point, especially knowing I had to do the entire thing again, being out in the wilderness. But I was like, I'm too stubborn to give up, so I'm like, okay, cool, I'll just keep pushing forwards into what was quite now a reasonably strong southerly headwind for the next several K. This is where I wonder if I would have been better off having just 2 bottles on the bike and then actually just pausing for a sec, running and grabbing 2 more bowls and then continuing on, versus lugging the extra weight around. Thank you. So, end of first lap, just under 2 hours time. Not great, not terrible as per the expectation I had. I was kind of hoping to do it about 3.5 all up, so I'm running a little behind, but that's okay because I'll make it up in my second lap, right? This next section was probably the hardest. We were pushing into a southerly wind, bitterly cold southerly wind, and it's starting to rain, and I'm pretty sure a few people actually scrubbed because of the impending rain, being like, nah, I don't want to chance it. But I'm stubborn, so I kept pushing on and trying to get through it. And then a bit of a miracle happened. My mate Charlie from earlier brought in reinforcements of this nameless dude who just absolutely powered ahead and towed us both along for a good number of kilometres. So I don't know who he was, but I greatly appreciate his assistance pulling us forwards. Eventually he dropped us like the rest, of course, and then we continued on, and it was good having a buddy to ride with for, well, the next 30 or so K, because I think it would have been pretty, a little bit of a boring ride just by yourself for that whole time, especially after the first lap. So it turned into a bit more of a social ride, just having a chat with, a good personality and enjoying the conversation. And yeah, just slowly powering through, but I was getting pretty spent. My fueling had been working correctly, but I was definitely starting to feel the muscular fatigue. Thank you. The rest of the ride was definitely digging deep and a bunch of the hill climbs. I was down to about 8k an hour, which pretty much demolished any chance of making up the faster lap time in the second lap round. At this point, I was pretty certain I must be like the last person on the course. But nonetheless, eventually we got to the end, just slowly crunching away, pushing against that strong southerly wind. Charlie managed to break a spoke on the descent, so I guess of all places to break a spoke, the end is the best spot, and managed to get it across the line at the end, which is kudos to him. But yeah, it was a full-on day, definitely right up at the limits of my physical ability to sustain, a reasonable pace non-stop for that duration. But huge change to where I was years ago.
Oh my lord.
So all up, my fueling was fine. I didn't end it excessively hungry, although I did certainly enjoy the complimentary toasted sandwich and coffee at the end. So the fueling strategy is fine. I was just physically exhausted from not doing
Oh my god.
that kind of volume.
Absolutely fucking wrecked.
I'm absolutely pooped after that. Whoever had the idea of including a coffee and a cheese toasty in the race pack, genius move. That hit the spot. So yeah, all up, it was an interesting experience. I've never done a group race or a gravel race like that. I don't know why we do it in the middle of winter, maybe a bit nicer in a warmer time of year, but it was a good experience and certainly quite a nicely run race and well organised and friendly volunteers and the like. I'm not sure it's a course I would get out and do every week. It gets a little monotonous, but it's definitely one I'd be keen to come out to maybe yearly and take part in because it's just a good time.